If someone wants to buy a new home, it's a business venture. You have an idea of what you want, and then you take a lot of little steps to get there. And buying a home is not that different from building a business. It's scary. It's got lots of bumps in the road and setbacks. Like anything else, there's risk and a lot of unknowns. It has a lot of the elements of a big project, an undertaking. It's not just, oh, let's go find a house. There's a million little things that make it so daunting.
It's time to reinvent.
Welcome to the Lessons of Entrepreneurship, the journey of reinvention. I promised you fabulous guests, and today is no different. Scott has got over 2 decades of building a thriving real estate business in New York. If you can live in New York and you can make it, you can make it anywhere. They say, Scott. Please tell them who you are and what your mission is.
Priscilla, thanks a lot for having me. My name is Scott Harris. I am a residential real estate agent in New York City in Manhattan, and I run a team of 10 at a company called Brown Harris Stevens, where I've been for the last 18 years. And we help people buy and sell mostly apartments, which is vertical living, the way that we are here in Manhattan, also townhouses. And we work with people who develop tall buildings. We help them market and sell them. And it's a fun, exciting, dynamic business, probably unlike any other city in the world.
We can't wait to hear all about it. Scott, tell us, how did all this get started? Because we just want to have an idea of the background story to how you got into this.
The easiest way to describe how I got into this, Priscilla, was totally by accident. I moved to New York summer of 2002 and wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. I actually had come from a music business background where I was helping put bands on the road and producing concerts and also performing myself. I moved to New York without a really clear vision of what I was interested in doing other than I want to continue music. But at some point, the rubber kind of met the road, and New York has a thriving music business, but it was time to look for what was next. And my stepmom had suggested, hey, you would really make a great real estate agent. It wasn't something that I'd considered before, but as you may know, and I'm sure a lot of people out there would agree, people tend to know you sometimes better than you know yourself. They can see things that you don't see. And she recommended that. And of course, the other part, which I probably didn't mention, is that my mom was the marketing director for a residential real estate firm in New Orleans, where I grew up. So I was in the bloodstream, so to speak. And my father was also, and still is, a commercial landlord. He owns a large warehouse and he deals with tenants and those kinds of things. So I was sitting at the kitchen table my entire life talking about real estate. It just never occurred to me. I got my license at the end of 2002. I said, I've got to try something new. Let's see if something works. And it was like a house on fire. It just worked. All the things that I'd ever done before I got into real estate turned out to be really excellent skills when I started helping people buy and sell property here.
Now that you say that you were a musician, it makes sense to me. Because when I spoke to you before, I was like, hey, his energy is different for an entrepreneur business type.
I was always an entrepreneur. Even when I was in the music business and touring and helping a band grow, I was always interested in creating something new. And so when I'm helping people move forward in their lives, real estate's the vehicle for that. But the theme of what I've always wanted to do and what I've done in my life is help people, serve people, be of service. And if someone wants to buy a new home, it's a business venture. You have an idea of what you want, and then you take a lot of little steps to get there. And buying a home is not that different from building a business. It's scary. It's got lots of bumps in the road and setbacks. Like anything else, there's risk and a lot of unknowns. It has a lot of the elements of a big project, an undertaking. It's not just, oh, let's go find a house. There's a million little things that make it so daunting. In fact, it ranks among the top 5 most stressful things that people do in their lives. After divorce, losing a loved one, and moving is really high up there on the list.
Tell us, what are some of the things that people don't think about because they don't know? Because like you said, people think, oh, I got to come up with the money and then I'll get into my dream house.
When people originally think, okay, what am I going to do? I want to buy a house. They usually want to try to do this with the help of a professional. And so we sit down, they have a checklist of all the things that they want. And so we try to pull that out. What are you dreaming of? What does this look like? We try to put some meat on the bones. And what happens quickly is that people tend to throw all of the dollars and cents in front. They start talking about what they can afford and all of the process elements of buying the home in front of the parts that are exciting them. And what happens is they get so worked up about the dollars and cents that they lose sight of why they're doing this in the first place. And I think that happens for entrepreneurs when they're trying to build businesses, is that they get so hung up on, oh, I have to get this paperwork and I have to do this. And then what about the website? And what about the licenses and all this? They forget why they're launching this thing in the first place. And so they lose steam. You have to constantly remind people of why they're doing this and help keep that flame alive, that creative spark that's pushing them, that voice inside of them that makes them want to go ahead and do this and shake up their whole life, so to speak.
I love the way you put that. And I think people need to hear that part because you end up miserable in a thing that you wanted to do.
You drive yourself absolutely crazy and you know why you're doing this. Maybe you're having another child, maybe you're getting married, or parents moving in with you, or you're downsizing. These are all huge life events, or you're relocating from one place to another. So usually there are lots of great reasons. Of course, there are other reasons. People get divorced, of course, and there are things like that, why people end up selling a home and moving into different places. But there's so many exciting reasons. But what I noticed, if you look at the dictionary definition of exciting, the first is what everybody thinks of. It's you're stirred up and feeling good. But the secondary definition, there's fear in there. If you go look at the definition of what excited means, it actually is tinged with a lot of fear. And of course, there are two sides of this exciting dream that people are trying to make real.
Scott, you're working on a book that we can expect next year. I think it's The Pursuit of Home. Did I remember that well?
Yes, it's called The Pursuit of Home, a real estate guide to achieving the American dream. And of course, I know you're not in America, but we Americans are known of having all these things. And a big piece of the American dream is buying a house.
Yeah. I think that's a dream for everyone, wherever they are, to buy a house and own a home. It's a big part of life.
What I discovered actually recently, I didn't know this, but Europeans even have a higher percentage of home ownership than they do in America. I was shocked to find that right now the percentage of people in America who own a home is a little over 60%. And in Europe, it's actually closer to 70%. I didn't realize that. Now, of course, you could go country by country and maybe the numbers are slightly different. But yes, everywhere in the world, people are interested in having a home, having a place that's theirs. Ultimately, it has very little to do with the dollars and cents. The book that I'm writing, it's not about how to do the transaction. It's about the emotional and the psychological journey that's going behind the scenes that everybody goes through when they buy a house, based on thousands of people that I've worked with and thousands of additional conversations. It's all the things that people go through, but nobody talks about to their friends even. They hardly talk about all of the most important things that they're going through when they buy a home, but everybody goes through. You won't see it on social media very much. You don't see it on reality TV. And so it's why I wrote the book, because I felt like it's a conversation that we all need to be having.
I'm excited for that because I think some of the things, like it's almost like the happy things in life that have a little trauma in them. Like you don't want to remember the trauma, but you wouldn't have the trauma if you were prepared for what was going to happen.
I know I don't want anyone to have the trauma either. It'd be great if it were easy, but if it were easy, then maybe it wouldn't be worth doing. People appreciate what they have when they've had to pay the price. But of course, the book is written to help people anticipate what the roadblocks might be, what the landmines, what are the bumps in the road so that they can avoid them or at least be prepared for them, right?
Got audiences, early entrepreneurs, and for those who are thinking of getting into the real estate business, you grew up with it around you, but maybe you didn't get the attraction to what was happening. It didn't kind of click for you that maybe you might want to do that. So maybe let's start there by saying to the person who's thinking of entering into this as a business.
What I would say, it's true of real estate as much as many businesses, where you need to hang your sign out, really let people know what it is that you're starting. This is a new business. And I tell my new agents that join my team, I run a team of 10. I tell them one of the most important things you can do is make a list of the top 50 people in your life who want to see you succeed, who celebrate when you have successes. These are the people that you want to make sure you're having constant conversations as you roll out your business. Hey, I'm going to start selling residential real estate. And that way, those 50 people, they're already your locked in, raving fans. These are the people in your life that want to help you. So make sure that you give them every opportunity to help you. That's a really good first step. And then all of the other pieces are you importing all of your contacts together into some kind of a customer relationship management tool, a CRM, so that you can market to them. If you're the kind of person that really takes so much pride, you want to do a great job, whatever business, certainly real estate that you want to get involved in, you want to be the person that I'm going to figure out whatever it takes, I'm going to be successful. And so it doesn't matter whether you're just starting in real estate business or you've been around, you are going to figure out the answers. That's the kind of energy that I think you want to bring. It's both an enthusiasm, a curiosity to learn new things, and definitely you want to enlist the support of the people in your life that already really love you and want to see you be successful.
In real estate, you literally can have a business within the business. The sort of sense that I get that you have to take it not as a job, or you have to actually take it as your business. Am I correct in thinking that?
For the last 21 years that I've been in real estate, I run a business underneath the umbrella of a larger company. It's as entrepreneurial as it gets because it's a commission-based business. I don't have a salary. When I close business, I get paid. That's how it works. If you're an entrepreneur, the nice thing about working for an umbrella company, a larger company, is that they take care of some of the little things that you might not want to have to take care of, the overall insurance or some of the renting an office, for instance, things like that may seem like a bridge too far. In this way, you have marketing materials, somebody has a website, all of the infrastructure is there for you, but then you also really are relying on your own network and your own efforts to be successful.
You've been doing this a long time. If you were to hang your hat on one thing for success in this kind of work.
I've thought about this a lot, having written the book. Like, what were the things that really helped me catapult my business? And what I discovered is it's all about a genuine desire to help others, to serve others. It didn't have anything directly to do with real estate. I would meet people, and I'm the kind of person that just wants to listen to somebody else. I'm a very curious person. So I'm listening to others, and I want to just hear, okay, what are the things that they need? How can I help them? And I wasn't thinking, oh, can I help them buy or sell or rent an apartment? It was just, how can I help them? So early in my career, it was just, oh, let me help you do something. So I helped someone get a job, or I helped connect someone, a wealthier person, with a philanthropy. So I ended up connecting a philanthropy, a charity, with one of their biggest donors. Or a friend of mine had a business that processed credit cards. Early in my career, I helped him find another charity that processed lots of credit cards. They ended up becoming his very biggest client. So I was just bringing people together to serve them. And then I was also learning my business at the same time. And what I found is the more I was just helping people, the byproduct of all that work was that I started to grow my business. And so how can I be of service was the leading question. I just wanted to come up with ideas to help others. And then the real estate business just took off. I feel like it took off as a result. But anybody can show up as a new person in a business, in a new industry, and just say, I want to help my clients. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to help them. And then they're going to want to give me business as a result. My business is going to come from everywhere. The phrase that I've heard used is, I'm like making deposits in the bank of the universe, and then the interest is coming back from everywhere.
It's interesting that you say that. Do you think you got how to network with and how to get along with people through promoting music business?
When I was in college, I was promoting a band that I was in. I was going around the town, getting businesses to buy ads in our program. And when I was in high school, I was mentoring little kids and selling raffle tickets. I've been interacting with people and trying to find opportunities for them to take part in things. I was always enrolling people in something that I was passionate about. I get it. I guess the secondary thing that I would say about me, and I think is true that can help you be successful in your business is that you just have to be passionate about whatever you're doing, whether it was music or whether it was my new business of real estate. I'm really excited about helping people. Again, this is like the vehicle that I was diving into. Hey, this new exciting thing of real estate, I want to help you. And so this is my new exciting thing. And let me tell you all about it. If you can do a good job of translating your enthusiasm into other people and finding ways to get them excited, finding ways into why should this be exciting for them too, I think you're going to find that it's successful. But yeah, for me, it's I'm excited about this thing and I want to share it with you, right? I guess my enthusiasm can be infectious in the best way, right?
If you're a person who's not really very outgoing, would this be ideal? Because like I was saying, I immediately said, oh, you're quite outgoing, got a cool factor. It makes sense that the business you're in, and if it's very people-centric, that you would do very well in that. And I'd be thinking about the person who's listening, what you're trying to assess your strengths, will they play well to what you're trying to get into?
It does take all kinds. I think of myself also as a strategic thinker and a strategic partner, negotiating. There are a lot of things that go behind the scenes. There are so many steps of what happens in a real estate transaction that don't require you to be incredibly outgoing. And so some people have a family that is very networked, okay? And someone who's like very knowledgeable and very analytical about real estate. That kind of person is going to be more naturally attracted to people out there who are also very analytical. So you can imagine there are people out there that are number crunchers by nature and they need lots of data. If you're a good salesperson, you quickly realize that's the kind of person in front of you and you need to make sure you're providing them lots and lots of information. But I would say, I meet lots of different real estate agents and there's a lid for every pot. That's what I like to say, right? If you're a good agent, you can realize how to dial up certain parts, but naturally, if you're not as super outgoing, you're more low key, there are going to be people out there that are attracted to you in that energy. So I would say it takes all comers, but I think you do have to be passionate about what you do, even if that passion doesn't come through so outwardly, like maybe someone like myself. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense. You speak about having a people first approach. And I get that sense that you're very strategic in that. You talked about how immediately understand what kind of person is in front of you. Are there any tips that you would give someone who is starting out in this business?
I would answer it this way, Priscilla. If you make it about the person in front of you and you just assume there's something really awesome about the person in front of me, there's something that makes them unique and they have a story that's interesting to tell. Almost anyone, if you really get them comfortable in a conversation, they're going to start telling you cool things. They've lived a life, they've been on this planet for a certain amount of time. So if you start with that as a basis, you're going to uncover things. Everyone has dreams, and some people are a little more shy about letting them out. If you can create the conditions for people to get comfortable around you and you genuinely care about them and their success, you are going to win in some way. The real estate component, helping them move forward, helping them buy and sell something, the more comfortable they are, this is a huge, scary decision for people. And so if you remove the fear and you make sure you're standing on the same side of the table as they are, like, we're in this together. I am going to be with you in the trenches until we get there. And I know I'm in this all the time. I really have your best interest at heart. And then you not only say that, but you show that. Your actions have to line up with your words. That's what helps your business grow, is that whatever you're in, whatever you're doing as a new entrepreneur, you have to make it about the client. And then it's such a counterintuitive thing. The more you make it about your client, the more you're going to succeed. If you make it about yourself, then it's all about you and you're going to be scrapping and it's going to be much more about surviving and it's going to be harder to get your business done than if you just make it about the client, because the more you understand them, the more you can serve them, the better a job you do, the more they refer you to other people, and then the more your business grows. It's hard for people. When I started out, it was like, how am I going to pay my rent? And then eventually you're like, wait a minute, you step back. You're like, this isn't about me at all. This is about my clients. And then all of a sudden business exploded in the best way.
The energy shifted.
Yeah. The energy shifted.
That's amazing. I'd like to ask you about building a team, especially if you're doing it for the first time. If you can just talk us through how you've built your team. I think you have a unique way of working with your team that I think would be interesting to the listener.
Let me just start by saying that you're going to have these natural points along the way when you realize you need some help. Because at the beginning of an entrepreneurial journey, you have to wear all hats. That's how it starts. You have to be the receptionist, the person who sweeps the floors, the person who does everything. And once my wife and I had our second child, and I was working 7 days a week all the time, and I'm like, wow, something's got to give here because I'm not going to see my kids. And I realized I needed administrative help. So I decided I was going to hire an assistant to help me with all the stuff that someone needed to be sitting there doing. But what I would say is that I worked probably 3 or 4 assistants to the bone. I really burned them out before I started to say, wait a minute, I'm doing something wrong. I had to make a lot of mistakes in early days with my team before I realized I needed to take a different approach. And what I would say is you have to identify that part of your business that you are really especially great at. There's a wonderful new book that you can read called 10X is Easier Than 2X. The idea is that the more you zoom in on your individual zone of genius, the more quickly you can grow your business because then you stop thinking that you have to do every single thing in your business. Maybe you're really great at the operations side. Maybe you're really great at the business development side. You have the answer to that. So for me, it's business development. It's getting people over that initial hump to get excited. I really excel at helping people get inspired about what their journey is. So I needed to surround myself with team members who could do a lot of the nuts and bolts, showing apartments. I have gotten better at handing off and being involved in the strategic conversations with sellers, the pricing conversations, the negotiations. I found amazing high energy people who I've helped develop all the skills to be in real estate and to look for apartments and properties that suit people. But ultimately, brick by brick, it's finding people who do what they say they're going to do, who show up, who are consistent. I want to help them grow their business. What I've discovered is that not every team leader in a real estate setting is willing to take the time every week or every other week and sit down with their team members and say, okay, how can I help you grow your business? Let's brainstorm what your business challenges are. It's all the same thing. I'm helping my clients move forward in their lives, whether they're looking for a buyer to buy their home, whether they're looking to buy a home. I'm helping my team members create a vision for what they want to create with their business. It's all about serving the team members. Ultimately, over time, you're going to get clear about the way you want to design your business. For me, it's realizing that I need operations experts. I have an operating partner who's incredible. Her name is Karen. She's so good at the operations side. And that's freed me up to have time to do things like write a book, but also to be scouting for the best talent in our market to join our team and to focus on helping to bring in new business.
I like the real estate model. I think the fact that everyone who's in there, you're helping them build their business. It's a unique angle to managing people. Their self-interest is at the forefront, and I think that helps a lot. Scott, I'm so excited and looking forward to your book, The Pursuit of Home, when it comes out next year. Please, is there something I should have asked that I didn't ask?
For younger entrepreneurs, how do you handle things when they go wrong? Because it's not like my business just went in a straight line. We've had lots of setbacks. I've made a zillion mistakes. I've had team members who weren't rowing in the same direction. And I've had to have lots and lots of uncomfortable, difficult conversations over the years. If you're an entrepreneur, especially like we're recording this towards the end of the year, real estate is not an annuity business. Every single year, I have to bring in new clients. It's not like I have the exact same clients and then they just keep doing business with me and do business together. So how do you maintain that positive attitude when things go sideways and so many deals fall apart? To answer my own question, you have to know that you're putting in the hard work. You have a clear vision in your business for what you want to do. Make sure that you set goals for yourself and you have a clear sense of process so that you know what it is you're going to do every day. In real estate, you really are creating your day from scratch. And so how do you stay on top of your industry trends? How do you see new properties? whatever your business is, it's really important that you focus on the things you can do and the things you can control, because every business is going to have lots of things that happen every day. That's what life is. That's what makes it interesting. But at the end, it's really important that you have a practice to help keep you calm, to help keep you at your best for your team and for your clients as well.
I have to ask you about the negotiation, especially in real estate, the manner in which people are aggressive in negotiating. And you wonder, what is the style of negotiation maybe that you would suggest or that you've seen or that you like?
There's no one way to get a deal done. And so negotiation is very much a people skill. You have to get to know the people that are the players, so to speak. What's moving your clients? How much information can you gather about the people on the other side of the deal? If you're in an industry, you want to know who the players are. Do they have a reputation for a certain way of doing business? Over time, you're going to develop a sense of these people. Do they bluff? There are lots of people who want to pretend like they have another offer on a property to try to get you to bid it up. And so it becomes a very nuanced and sometimes very frustrating thing. But the most important elements often happen before the negotiation begins, to make sure that you've educated your clients and then you continue to make sure they know what are the important things to worry about, what are the things that are not important, to stay calm. I have clients who recently were like, Scott, why aren't you getting angry? And there were a whole bunch of things that were going wrong with the deal. It was a $3 million deal that we were negotiating. Let's say it's $100,000 in the balance for a real estate agent. Wow, that sounds like so much money. And I wasn't sure the deal was going to move ahead. My clients really wanted to buy this, but they were very frustrated. And we got on a call and he's so angry. My client is an attorney. So for a living, he's negotiating. I heard him just getting so angry. And when he finished talking, I said, oh, wow, I don't think I've ever heard your angry voice before. And he said, Scott, why aren't you more angry? I said, if I were angry, I wouldn't be doing my best for you. My job is to stay calm when things are going crazy and then make sure that I help negotiate this deal the best I can to make sure that we secure this for you, because it's not just the negotiation. Don't forget, this is someone's home. There's more at stake for the person you're working for than whatever the commission is. I promise you. Keep that in mind and let that drive the negotiations. But I would say that largely it's a skill that you can study and practice and take classes on. And then you have to study people. People are going to try everything under the sun to try to get you to cave in on certain things. And so you have to really stay present when you're negotiating.
What's your best people book that you'd say of all the ones you've read?
The best people book? Oh, gosh. There are a lot of small books on how to manage people. The Greatest Salesman in the World, The Richest Man in Babylon, about salespeople and how you can maintain a positive attitude. Good old-fashioned Old Testament, New Testament, how to be a decent person. I think those are some good fundamental things. There's a lot of wisdom pretty much everywhere you look. There's a wonderful comedian named Mark Maron. He says that every book is a self-help book because you're constantly looking for wisdom wherever you look. So some of the tried and true books, How to Win Friends and Influence People, amazing classic books that are going to give you a lot of guidance on how to start your business. It really does begin with just being genuinely curious about people and letting that stir up all sorts of exciting opportunities for you.
That statement, don't put the dollars and cents in front. I can see that sort of being your mantra. Do you have a lot of those?
But you mean like little nuggets of wisdom?
Yeah.
It comes from making a ton of mistakes, Priscilla. I remember, because I keep a journal. There was a time I literally wrote something like, if you're going to make me go do something in real estate, you're going to pay for it, which is like such a terrible attitude. I remember looking at it going, ooh, I was 28 and starting in this business and I was so self-centered and so selfish. It was like just embarrassing to see that's where my head was. And if I can help somebody get out of that self-centered mindset when they're starting in their business, I feel so lucky that I managed to get out of that, because there's so many people I interact with all the time. What happens, Priscilla, is that you negotiate commission. So let's say there's a standard commission and I'm trying to help a buyer. And when it comes down to the very end of the negotiation, a seller's like, I'm not budging off of this price. And then the buyer's like, I'm not budging off of this price. And there's a gap of say $10,000. And So sometimes the agents on either side will say, you know what, I'm going to discount my commission to bridge the gap. There are some times when this makes sense. We'll give a small concession. We're talking about $5,000 out of, say, 100,000. It's 5%. It's not a big deal. And sometimes we interact with other agents who are like, I'm not doing that. And they get very huffy about it. They forget that they're working for people, and they forget how lucky they are that this is what they get to do. Like, what an honor it is to help people move forward in their lives. If they get this deal done and they have happy clients, they're going to do that much more business. And so I think people just lose sight of the big picture. That's why you don't check your email at 6 in the morning when you wake up. That's why you go for a jog, or you go for a walk, or you meditate, or whatever you do to stay centered, because it's a million different ways that you can fall off center in a business that is so high pressure. My clients are all stressed out. We meet them at their most stressed. Normal, happy people become like monsters because this process brings out such stress in them. So if you know that going in, it's, I better be the most calm, centered person in the room all the time.
Scott, it's been an awesome time talking to you. To the audience, please, I'll put a link down if you want to speak to Scott. And Scott, where can they follow you?
I'm most active on LinkedIn. So if you're on LinkedIn, you can go check me out. Just look up Scott Harris, New York. I'm sure you will find me. That's where I post the most. If you're on Instagram, I'm there as well. And of course, you can go and listen to my podcast, which is also called The Pursuit of Home. We're interviewing buyers, real people buying real estate, and I'm interviewing real estate agents, and we're talking about all the issues that face buyers when they go to buy real estate.
Nah, that sounds amazing. Thank you so much, Scott. Audience, please do follow him. And it's been a great conversation. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Priscilla.